I talk a lot about Phantasy Star 3. Tokinoke Shosha, it's its original name. As we will learn, that stands for Successors time. But the English title was Generations of Doom. Now, this game released on April the 21st, 1990 in Japan for the Sega Mega Drive, and it retailed at 8,700 yen. Now, this is the third installment in the series that actually originated 3 years prior in December 1987 and on the Sega Master System. And it would be followed, Phantasy Star 3 that is, by the highly polished Phantasy Star 4 sequel 3 years later. Most of you guys probably want to play that one instead. I love them all, it's basically my favorite series, but it's gonna be a good time. I'm getting memed on in Italian. Holy shit. Hey, Barney. Alright. Now, although this is considered by the developers themselves more of a side story, a guiding game, it's connected to the other 3 entries in the series, and here on screen you can see how it fits into the timeline. So you have it taking place basically 1,000 years after the game that came after it, even. So basically, they set it to be 2,000 years after the events of the previous game, Phantasy Star 2. Now, as you might notice, the first 3 games are all spaced out by the time lapse of 1 year. Then you have Phantasy Star 4, which is like 3 years and a half later. So when you think about how good, how polished, how good the pixel art, the animation, the music, the story, the cutscenes, the everything is in Phantasy Star 4, you should take that into account. You really should. And when you think about how rushed and how empty Phantasy Star 3 feels by comparison, not only you should take into account they had less development time, but also they had less you didn't have Yuji Naka, basically, as a programmer and project leader, like the first 2 games have. So it was kind of a doomed game, I want to say, but the game is really cool, like Generations of Doom. The game was a little bit nerfed from the get-go, let's say that. It is, Barney, that's kind of true, but we're gonna talk about that a lot, so why don't we move on? Alright, we're gonna move on to the first phase, which I like visual shock. I like to call visual shock, rather. Now, in this stream, there's gonna be a rather unprecedented amount of artworks shown. So, why don't we start on a good note with the box art. Well, I have the game. I have the game here, actually. So. Okay. This is the game. OSSC remote should get the fuck out. But yeah, I got the 3 games, but I don't have Phantasy Star 1, which actually came out for the Mega Drive. Somehow it's like a anniversary release or some shit. But this is the game we're gonna be playing. It's Phantasy Star 3. I got a little bit of a sun-faded copy here, but it's all good. So let me show you better this good artwork, because it's worthy of your attention. So I got stuff over here. Let's go. All right, check that out. All right. So let's start with the box art and actually various other illustrations by Masaki Segawa. Now, both of these artworks, the front cover, and where did it put that? Hold on. Both the front cover here and the back cover artwork, which I have to put in full screen because it's too good, are by this guy called Masaki Segawa. Now, he was the main illustrator, not the main artist, but he was the main illustrator for Phantasy Star 3. The thing with this guy is 10 years after this game, so between 1999 and 2001, he would work with Sega again as a character designer for both Blue Stinger and Illbleed, and even as a story writer for Blue Stinger. Yeah, that fits in, because Masaki Segawa also happens to be an accomplished mangaka with Basilisk. Basilisk, the 2003 manga, which got its anime starting from 2005. Man, I ran out of stuff to watch on Netflix after Ice Phantasy, after the Ice Chinese Hells. I gotta see if Basilisk is in that. Yeah. Gotta watch stuff. So there you have it. That's not the first occurrence of a mangaka working artwork on a video game, let alone a Mega Drive one. So there you have Mew and Ren, the two cyborgs, on the back of the box there. Get another victory loop at the front one. The logo, as you saw from the timeline thing, the logo is also completely different from all the other series ones, which accounts for the game being considered a spin-off, a side adventure, a guiding game, even from its own developers. That fits in with the whole story about the development of the game, really, so we're gonna see about that. Alright, before we dive deep into Masaki Segawa Phantasy Star 3 artworks, let's have a look here. We got the US and also used in Europe, by the way. The American box artwork, it's not bad, but it's, you know, it's not that good. I mean, I like it. It's pretty dank. It's just it's not that good, you know. It's not as good as the other one, I think. But I like it. I like this a lot. I know what that's supposed. Oh yeah, those orbs. Those orbs are supposed to be the spaceship at the end of the game. You know, spoilers and stuff. Role-playing games. Generations of Doom, Phantasy Star 3. All right. And the US version came with this poster. So there you have it. Good stuff. All right, what else do I have here? Oh yeah, I have the back of the box. I always like reading the back of the box, dude. Alright, Phantasy Star 3 Generations of Doom. It's been a millennium since Laia's Hordes battled Oraki's cyborg armies, and civilized man was almost destroyed. But the dark forces still remain. Conquer these monstrous mutations. Fight them with swords, knives, bows, even your wits. You live and die by them. Explore the planet and beyond. Hold on, I remember. Yeah, I had this. Man, the production values in this. Alright, explore the planet and beyond. Trek through 7 distant lands. Some friendly, some not. Transform into an aerojet and fly over snow-capped mountains. Already a nice stage, already good game. Or become a submersible or aqua skimmer and cross vast oceans and raging rivers. Dude, the game is advertising the wrong features. It's totally advertising the wrong features. Then find and fight your way through danger-laden dungeons. Danger-laden? I don't know that word. Come forth now. Embark on a journey so vast it spans the life of 3 generations. Begin with Maya, spirited away by a winged dragon on your wedding day. Experience one of our 4 endings that will surprise new and former Phantasy Star players alike. That's the main feature of the game. You choose who to marry, and depending on your choice, you branch out to a different path and play as a different main character. So yeah, this is a very good video game. The palette swaps. All right, let's move on from that. What do I have? What do I have? Oh yeah, the Korean release. In Korea, the Mega Drive was known first as the Super Aladdin Boy and then as the Super Game Boy. And it was published by Samsung. I wonder if there is a logo of that here. There isn't. Probably would be in the cartridge. But yeah, there you go. Korean Phantasy Star 3. And of course, in Brazil, Mega Drive Master System were huge in Brazil. Largely thanks to Tectoy, and this game, much like all the other Phantasy Star entries, as you can see here in the top right, RPG totalmente en português. This game was completely translated into Portuguese. But hold on, I had some notes into that. Yeah, like the Master System and Mega Drive still see some kind of commercial success in Brazil, and this game in particular, this series was always a big hit. This one's localization in particular, though, is known to be pretty bad. Now, particular interest is when you do the escape trick, which is the first thing I'm gonna do as soon as I start the game, and we're gonna talk about that more probably. If you do the escape trick, the king and the guards will say random nonsense that's supposedly from portions of text supposed to be displayed later in the game. All right. Get out of Brazil. Get out of Brazil. What do we have? All right, let's start looking at the artworks from Masaki Sagawa, the future mangaka, the mangaka from the future that worked on as an illustrator for this game, not as the main artist. We'll see more about that. We've said that I forgot to show this, but we've said that he would work on Blue Stinger and Nailblade, and that he's got his own manga. It's Basilisk. There you have it. Wonder if the anime is on Netflix now. Alright, so what are the artworks that worked as concept art for Phantasy Star 3 by this guy? Let's have a look. There you have what is called Kane in the original game, but it's Riz, the main character on the left, and I can't tell and I can't remember, but I suppose that on the right is Laia, minus the green hair. It should be, right? This is good stuff. This is really good stuff. Unfortunately, it's not available in high resolution, but as good as it gets. Okay, there you have one of the two cyborgs that are basically the main characters in the game. Okay, what this says is it's this guy as Ren. If you played Phantasy Star 3 or 4. In Japanese, he's called Shiren. He's called Shiren, but we're just gonna call him Ren. But the Ren in Phantasy Star 3, which is set 1,000 years after Phantasy Star 4, is a different Ren from the one in Phantasy Star 4. They're two different models, right? So this one says, I'm a type 386 Shiren system, Ren system, from the Orekyo clan. I am programmed to serve the Orekyo family, awaiting instructions. A good chance to catch up on chat, a little bit. Oh yeah, I want to go to some chat votes on the spot, on the fly to choose who to marry for sure. Alright. And then the natural follow-up, we have Mew, the other cyborg. And she says, I think androids can have feelings too, but I wonder if that's just a response from the program. Deep self-questioning there. Is not Totoro, what's up, welcome. Right. Of course, these two cyborgs are the ones you see here, which is basically the highest quality artwork for the game. Okay, where were we? Right here. Okay, this is Lyle. We got Lyle and I forgot her name, the brown-haired girl, I think. Yeah. There's more stuff I didn't bother to translate. What does it say there? I saw the whole world flying, shit like that. Yeah, nothing important. Alright. That's about it for now. There's gonna be like literally 100 more artworks. I'm not even exaggerating there. Now this is the main illustrator. The other, so it's not like the artist that has to do anything with the game, just illustrator. Like he drew this stuff and the box art and little artworks, but the main artist was actually Toyo Ozaki, which is a female artist. She did the character design and most of the manual illustrations, and we're gonna see all of that. He was also a Sega employee at the time, creating a few Phantasy Star 3 comics for Sega's magazine Spec Sega Players Enjoy Club, SPEC. Other Phantasy Star developers would also create Phantasy Star comics. I know Rieko Kodama made one that looks like a full freaking shoujo manga. Alright, let's look at some prints. Here's a print from Beep magazine, of course. Good old Beep magazine. It shows a contest held just a month prior to the game's release. You'd send Sega... You would send them 4 ending scenarios, I don't know what it's saying there, and win an arcade power stick. You would win an arcade power stick if within the first 100, plus other prizes like a CD and a telephone card set. I'm not gonna spoil it for you, Zenki. Maybe it's just part of the hilt, right? Alright, let's see what else do we have here. I know you guys will like this one. By the time you get through Phantasy Star 3, you'll get married, grow old, and die 3 times. Let's zoom in on that text. Get a life. Actually, get multiple lives. And a couple of wives. And some kids too. It's up to you. Fucking Sega US advertising quality here. Welcome to the world of Phantasy Star 3, the new role-playing odyssey from Sega. It spans 3 generations of characters. It's big, real big. What do you expect? It's from the same people who gave you mind-benders like Phantasy Star 2 and Sword of Vermilion. And take our word for it, you're in for the long haul with this one. Phantasy Star 3 will take you hundreds of hours to complete. If you're like... Dude, they always do this shit. It's this fucking Battle Master again. They always do this shit. Guys, if we're lucky, this will take hundreds of hours. So that's at least 200 hours. This is gonna be more than Telltale Mahjong. Besides, you can always buy the handbook, which could come in handy with a game that unfolds into 4 different endings. Of course, finishing Phantasy Star 3 will take a lot more than a handbook. You'll take endless skill and intense concentration. Not to mention a good chunk of your life. This is really good. Yeah, the US Sega ads are the best ads. Plenty put. Tenoko and everybody Landale. Alright. Alright, so from here I would like to keep this fresh because there is so many books and artworks to look at. There's so much stuff I literally have in my hands right now. I'm trying to space it out, right? So from here I would like to move on to some kind of really a retrospective, a little bit of reflection here. Now, I'm gonna bring up a comparison picture. Now, don't get scared, but here it is. Alright. Again, notice how Phantasy Star 3 has got the different logo. Truly a different game from its own. But I think it holds a highly respectable spot in the series, even though it was the one that didn't do very well. Alright, I'm gonna bring up some pictures more, guys. Notice there's a space on the right. Alright, so let's go in order. Let's bring up an enemy from Phantasy Star 1 there. There you go, you have a sexy zombie there. That's a good one. Well, they have remakes of Phantasy Star 1 and 2, Square Bear. Actually. They do, they totally remade Phantasy Star 1 and Phantasy Star 2. So I've been thinking for years that whenever this gets picked, I'll play the remake. Like whenever the Mega Drive version of this gets picked, I'll beat it and then I'll beat this. And whenever this gets picked, I'll do the same. I've been basically saving this. So, where were we? Alright. Animated monsters. Right, so look, that's a pretty good animations, right? Now, you guys won't be ready for what I consider to be the best anime in any video game ever, and the best animation. I present you the Guts Rabbit. That's the idle animation, and that's the attack animation. Man, enemies in Phantasy Star 2 have such good animations. They have freaking idle animation. Every anime has its own idle animation, but then again, every anime has at least one attack animation. Many animes, if not half of them at least. Like around half the animes in Phantasy Star 2 have they have at least 2 animations for more than one attack. And it's really sick, like the variety of anime animations and anime sound effects in Phantasy Star 2 is definitely crazy. They really spent well the record memory, because Phantasy Star 2 came out in a 6 megabit cartridge, which at the time it was like a world record. When Phantasy Star 2 came out, it was the biggest video game ever. Like sheer amount of cartridge size. Of course, that beats even arcade game size, I believe, because those are not known to be long games, right? And Phantasy Star 3, though, Phantasy Star 3, Phantasy Star 3 comes out in the same cartridge size, respectable 6 megabits, which you divide by 8, that's 768 KB, kilobytes, Phantasy Star 3 didn't really get the same treatment for reason that we'll discuss. And then you have Phantasy Star 4. Phantasy Star 4 cheats. So we have a boss attack animation. I take all my stuff on pscave.com. They don't have PlayStation. They don't have Phantasy Star 4 anime attack animations, only idle animations. So I couldn't really set it apart just like that. So yeah, that's Zio. It means uncle in Italian. Dude, I'm afraid if I manage to start the game tonight, I will not play much of it. And I'm trying to catch up with chat. But oh no, the hint books for this game are majestically good. But yeah, I have never put so much effort into researching a game, and it's gonna show because this is gonna be fun. And my favorite game is Phantasy Star 2. Like, this is my favorite game right there. But this right here is my favorite series. I just hold this game so dear to me, even though I never played Phantasy Star 1 yet. But that's enough. That's enough. All right, so Phantasy Star 3 gets bashed. It really gets bashed a lot nowadays, and it did back in the day too. Because people are more used to the high production values and polish of the much later sequel nowadays, or are rightfully let down by the fact that, simply put, Phantasy Star 3's presentation isn't even on par with its prequel, Phantasy Star 2, which we just explained basically. The third game, as you can see from the pictures there, the third game, in fact, although it adds back the background art for the fights that were present in the first game but not in the second, the third game gets completely rid of character sprites in battle, not showing their backs anymore, and only showing the spells or the attack animations instead. Now remember, back in the day when I was really little, I have 2 older brothers, right? So I always grew up playing this stuff. We got Phantasy Star 3 before we got Phantasy Star 2. But we still, of course, we can read, so we knew 3 was after 2, and was like, wait, 3 doesn't have the character sprites in battle? That's pretty shitty, right? Similarly, the anime animations in Phantasy Star 3 usually consist of 2 frames, or just more low detail frames, and there are generally no idle animations. Like, let's look at the animated pictures I've put on screen again. That guy flexing his pecs, That's not the idle animation, guys. That's the attack animation. Remember Pointer Guy? That's the attack animation. They have no... Pointer Guy has also no idle animation. But let's be honest though. Being honest, Phantasy Star 2 is a tough act to follow. Especially on its glorious anime animations and sound effects that we just explained. I mean, the zombie rabbit just speaks for itself really. Let's give it a victory lap. 1 second. Alright. Just zombie rabbit for a bit. The truth in my opinion is just that Phantasy Star 3 is really a good game. It suffered from really short development cycle though. So somewhat justly, somewhat not, it just gets overshadowed by its companions. It just happens. Can't really do much about it. Alright, so I noticed you guys took an interest to the hint books. Let's quickly talk about the American hint book. Now I researched, and the American hint book was handled by a guy called Mike Breault, who's a freelance writer and game designer and teaches game design courses at several universities. Yes, I know I'm going too deep. He worked with different companies, including TSR, for which he wrote the scenario of Pool of Radiance. I'm sure most of you know. But what's interesting to do in these cases is to know that he also worked on the American manuals for Sword of Vermilion, 1989, Shining in the Darkness, 91, and Shining Force and Shining Force 2, 1992 and 1993. It was a really quick digression over there. Alright. Now remember how I mentioned in Brazil there is the... In Brazil you get the... Let's just bring this up again. In Brazil, you get the bad translation, and the escape glitch results in the king and the guards saying just random bullshit. Now, there's some guy back in the day found out that it's possible to hack some values in the game and get across the river as Riz, the first character, the first protagonist. Effectively play as him in the second generation and more. The game just freezes in Irona at that point, though. It's a bit of going too deep in a digression, but you can read about it on the link, which I'll provide, because I don't know if the bot's lore command is working anymore, but there you go. This is some documentation old enough that it was done through the Genesis emulator. Anybody played any Phantasy Star game on Genesis? That's the good stuff. Yeah, that's from Phantasy Star Cave. That's the best source for everything Phantasy Star related, by the way. Or at least old school Phantasy Star. And it's where I recommend browsing the tons of official artwork scans from the nice books that we're gonna look at right now, guys. So, the visual shock is starting. Alright. Okay, so this game. This action figure is a gachapon. It's not really related, but gotta be full weeb or bust, right? Alright, we got multiple stuff here, but the Phantasy Star Compendium is what I need right now. I'm gonna start from the Phantasy Star Compendium. Alright. Oh man. Gachapon. Hey, Atomic Runner, what's up? Okay, so this should be good, right? Good angle, good lighting, good stuff. Alright, this is the official Phantasy Star Compendium. Let's have a look. So it comes with whatever you call this in English. It's got Nay artworks all over the place, of course. Nice logo there. Stealth logo. Nobody ever found out. Alright. Oh, Oh shit. I forgot this came with the best poster ever made. Oh my god. Alright. So this is the best Phantasy Star artwork like that was ever made. The best official Phantasy Star artwork that exists. It's this one. This is just fucking